Hey y'all, it's Anna V, and you, my friend, are listening to the All-American Wing Shooting Podcast. I am a hunter, conservationist, mom of 2 girls I have raised in the outdoors, and a proud owner of a truck full of dogs. My passion is guiding you to confidence, sharing in tradition, and celebrating the true meaning of success in the field. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's Anna V, and you, my friend, are listening to the All-American Wing Shooting Podcast. I am a hunter, conservationist, mom of 2 girls I have raised in the outdoors, and a proud owner of a truck full of dogs. My passion is guiding you to confidence, sharing in tradition, and celebrating the true meaning of success in the field. Here we go. Hello and welcome again back to an All-American Wing Shooting Podcast. We have a special episode this week. Miss Sylvia from SCTP is joining us. She left the state of Georgia for a big promotion with the southern region of SCTP. So now she is covering 9 states, not just us, but she's always going to be a hometown girl to me. And Miss Sylvia, listeners have heard so much about SCTP. I don't know if there's ever an episode that I don't talk about it. It just pours out of me. And I'm so excited to share you and the mission of SCTP and exactly what they do, how they pour into kids, with everyone straight from the source.
Well, thank you for inviting me here today. I feel honored. The SCTP something is that I'm truly passionate about. It stands for Scholastic Clay Target Program. And I think a lot of people think that we're just a competition or a shooting program, but we are much, much, much more than that. We are here to teach responsibility, maturity, discipline, leadership, confidence. We try to give all of this to our young men and women that come into the SCTP. And I've been involved with it, I think, around 13 years now. Started out as a coach, became an advisor for Georgia for 6 years, and then led into the position I'm in now, and I'm still going strong and still love it. It's a youth organization that's growing, and it's growing by leaps and bounds every day. I truly have a passion for it, and I think people see that.
Oh my gosh, we feel it. And it's not just you, because your husband's kind of, he's kind of a celebrity around the shoots too, and everybody knows him. And it blows my mind how he remembers all the kids.
He's much more in tune with them because it gets on a personal level more than I'm able to now. Now that I'm not a coach or an advisor, I don't get to associate on that personal level anymore. And he still has the opportunity to do that.
Yes, and it's so cool at award ceremonies. You guys are always cheering people on, and you do know a lot of the kids' personal stories. But I want to hear, were you a shooter first? Because you came into coaching. So did you know what was going on? You know, were you educated about all the different games and really how to coach a kid?
Yes and no, to a certain extent. I started shooting later in life because there wasn't programs like this when I was young. And of course, I hate to admit my age, but I'm older, and there just wasn't programs like this back then. And I learned to shoot as an adult, and it's just something I enjoyed to do. I fell into the SCTP part of it totally by accident. One of our home clubs was Elbert County Gun Club, and they needed a coach for their team. And I love working with the youth, and so that's where it all started at. And as far as the actual work with the kids, I am not a professional at any of the disciplines, but I know all the disciplines. I know the rules. I know how to shoot. I know how to teach them. And I think that's really an asset. And I've worked with the kids and all of that. And that is something that I think some of our coaches do not possess, is that they don't understand all the rules and the etiquette of all the disciplines. And even if you don't go out there and fire the gun daily, having that knowledge and then being able to impart that to our youth and mentor them to the point where they're ready to step on a field in the registered world, or if they never shoot registered targets, just go out and enjoy it and be disciplined on all three or more of the disciplines, I think is so important for our kids. And I did. I'm an NSCA level 2 instructor. A lot of people don't know that.
That's
And
kind of a big deal.
it is. People ask me, well, why don't you go for the level 3? I don't need a level 3 because I don't do it for money. I do it to work with these kids. And so that's just kind
I
of a little bit
agree.
of my history.
I stopped at level 1 because I just cared about wing shooting, right? And I'm like, nobody's going to see a Shondell out there in the pheasant field. But I probably have enough hours to have done the level 2. I just
Mhm.
never really chased that. And so I wonder if that's something that I end up swinging back into, because I didn't expect Tater to fall in love with SCTP like she has. Um,
Mhm.
so if I get pulled back into it, I don't know. I don't overload my plate. Well, you know that I do, but I'm not going to add that to it right now. I really just love sharing the message and the advocacy part of it. But so another thing that I think is good to point out for people that don't understand the actual culture of the sport is there's so many kids that take lessons from the pros and come
Mhm.
back. So, like, I'm on the Mamba team, or Tater's on the Mamba team. We don't really have instructors as coaches. They do have an important job of keeping all the paperwork together and making sure that the kids are squatted and registered for all the shoots and, sharing all that. But the kids just come together on a weekly basis and shoot, mainly from the training that they take from someone else. So if you
Mhm.
think this is going to be fun, but you're not qualified, you don't really need qualifications, but a want to attitude.
That is so true. And it's some of the most wonderful experiences I've seen on the field is not a young person walking away with a trophy in the hand, but a young person walking away because they just shot their personal best. They went
Yes.
out on that field and they gave it everything they had, and they came away with a personal best, and they were just as happy as somebody who took home a trophy.
Right.
Uh,
I love
and
that you point
that,
that out, because that is the other special thing. Because we talk about, we do compete as a team,
Mhm.
but you've got to focus on your individual skill sets, and then the team will take care of itself. And
Mhm.
so that is the thing, is that this is a skill that grows over time. And, somebody has to win every year, but you do just focus on growing yourself. And a really good coach will tell you, never look at the score. If you
Mhm.
shoot, one target at a time in trap, or two targets at a time on sporting or skeet, the score will take care of itself,
Mhm.
and you build over time. And so I just feel like this game aligns so much with parenting. As your kid gets older, you just want them to become more responsible as they become older. And with shooting sports, we get better the longer that we stay committed to it.
Mhm.
And I really couldn't think of a better way to be involved in a team or sport community and raising my kid.
Mhm.
We came, back from the hunting world, and Tater was 11, right? She's been wanting to be a mama since she was 3.
Mhm.
And I would get so frustrated. I'm like, what if she gives up? Because when I was on a hunting trip once, she was like maybe 9. I came back home and my mom had signed her up for volleyball. And I was like, oh, heck to the no. What did you do? You've wrecked my whole plan. Like, I have kept
Mhm.
her focused on being able to be old enough to join the Mambas. And you go and tempt her with those big bows and all this stuff. I was like, Lord, I'm going to lose my kid to volleyball. But she came back. But it is really funny to look back on that now. And now my parents are clueless. The whole time I was shooting, they never watched me shoot. They never watched a TV show I was on. They do not miss an SCTP tournament because now they have friends there.
Mhm. That's something a lot of people don't realize. It's a community. It is
Yeah.
a community. You go to a football game and somehow you don't form that relationship with the other team members or the parents sometimes. But in shooting, it's a different game. Let's say when we go to our state shoot at Forest City, a lot of the parents come and they camp. It's just a community out there on the campground. And the ones that don't, they set up and they watch when it's time for their their child to shoot. They form and they talk to each other. And another thing that interests me in this, and you see it time and time again, you'll see these young people out there and they mentor and help each other.
Oh my gosh,
I
yes.
have seen it in the same category, competing against each other, and they'll look over and say, if you will do this, it will enhance what you'll do next. And it's not always just me. It's a world that's a little bit different. These kids are just special kids. All of them are. It's something you don't get to see often.
And it's so easy to say that because we do see it. It might be hard to
Hmm.
believe it, but you're
It
so
sounds a
right.
little cliche, doesn't it? But it's true.
Yes, it is true. And what I have loved the most is you see these guys, 17, like, they're junior, senior in high school, and they get squatted, and then the team that squatted with them are going to be these young girls. And to
Hmm.
watch these older boys not have the attitude that they're too cool for school, and
Hmm.
they say, "Oh my gosh, we're going to coach these girls up," and they like
Hmm.
live for it. And then the
Hmm.
kids come out of the box, and you're right, like they'll tell them like how to fix it on the next one. Or I have actually had kids come up to Tater like in between shots and whisper in her ear and tell her how to fix it. Which the
Hmm.
rules are the kids can help each other, but the
Hmm.
coaches and the parents can't help the kids.
Hmm.
And you're right, the kids wear their team jersey, but when they're out there, they're all like battling against the clays.
Hmm. And that brings up another issue too. And I'll just mention, and it's one of the proudest moments I had was Wyatt Hargrove out of Gator Creek. He was squatted with some rookies. This goes back about 4 years or more. And I thought, oh, he's going to have a miserable time. But he did not. He took it as an opportunity to help these two young rookies. And those two talked about it for weeks afterwards. He's also someone that's come back into the industry too, which has been around long enough to where we're seeing these older kids come back into the industry. They're managing gun ranges, they're learning to be coaches. So we're seeing a lot of that too, which is important.
Yes, and so Forest City, if you guys don't know, it's one of the oldest shooting clubs in the country,
Hmm.
and they're in Savannah, and
Hmm.
their team equates with like the Georgia Bulldogs in the
Hmm.
SEC.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so they have hundreds of kids, and the parents. It is the coolest thing because their clubhouse is the heart of that club.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
you get all of them, and they all wear their Forest City clothes,
Hmm.
and all the parents meet in the clubhouse afterwards, and everybody hangs out. Well, because I actually went through my NSCA with Joe Davis, Colin's dad. And then Colin was a big shooter that came out of there, who won nationals and all these things back in the day. He's the same way. So now he's like selling Promatics, and he makes sure that he comes around. He follows Tater around. She was a rookie last year. This year, she's only had two tournaments before her gun had issues, and we're waiting on it to come back. But they do come back, and
Hmm.
Joe
Hmm.
and Heidi come and hang out with us when we're there. And so it was so funny when we were at our tournament at Southeast Regionals they hosted this year. Tater's like, I got to get me a Forest City towel. I'm like, kid, your coach is going to kick you off the Mambas. And she was like, it's okay. And it is cool to see that all these kids just hang together and they don't even see the jerseys. They just
Yeah.
love each other.
Yeah, they have really excellent coaches there. They were a bigger team before, and I think they pared it down for a reason. I think they have 60 something kids this year, but they have excellent coaches, and they teach them things that maybe some coaches don't teach them. Well, let me back up a little bit. You just equated them to like the Georgia Bulldogs. They are the booger bears of the shooting world, and they have won the national championship as the HOA team for 7 years in a row. And they're very, very proud of that. But along with that comes a lot of responsibility. They
Right.
know that when they go into the arena in July in the Cardinal Center in Marengo, that they are going to be the ones that people look at to beat. And some people hate them, other people love them, but they know they have to be on their best behavior when they come into that arena. And frankly, to tell you the truth, I'm very proud of them. I think the
I am
coaches
too.
do a great job with them. And those kids, every once in a while, I'll go out on the course and I'll trap for them or do something with them, and they are so respectful. So I'm just proud of everything Georgia has to offer, and they are a very good team.
Well, I mean, let's just use them as an example. You know, we do get some coaches that essentially just have a heart to want to help the kids, right? And so they're like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be the paper pushers. We're going to make sure we have a team. We're going to carry this through our season, and this is what we have to give. And we're so grateful for them. But we can't hate on clubs like Forest City who say, not only do we have those mom and dads, but we also have qualified coaches that we bring in because this is what we want the legacy of our team name to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, legacy is my big word with Anna V Outdoors, and that is what I preach to all the women that are part of our group. Is like every single day that we live, we're building or taking away from our legacy. And
Mm-hmm.
so there really isn't any room to hate on anybody else if we're
Mm-hmm.
focused on, you know, the purpose that God's called us to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, you have the same choice to do exactly what they're doing if you choose to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just love that they're trailblazing consistency in that standard, because you know how
Mm-hmm.
much I love this world and I love all aspects of it. And I think the same way in the hunting world. I preach the same level of training for our dogs and, you know, breeding programs and things like that on other podcasts. So yeah, I mean, we don't have the same opportunity for a club up here where we live. You know, we're
Mm-hmm.
driving an hour to our
Mm-hmm.
club, and we don't get to see those technical targets, and we don't have the skeet fields and the trap fields that they have. I mean, our trap field's not even legal. You know, we get
Mm-hmm.
these kids that are practicing on it, it's not even legal. So it's like, yes, we have, as our team, we have way more hurdles. We don't even have equal opportunity. But there's
Mm-hmm.
no way that I'm going to hate on them, because we need teams like them to carry the torch for those that can't. And they don't ever make us feel bad about it. Like, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
go hang out with the Forest City crowd. They've been really welcoming and kind to us. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Well,
I find it to
Joe,
just be fun to see every aspect of it. And it's like, we do highlight them a lot because what they do is amazing. But at the same time, there's so many kids that learn to shoot in their backyard, and they
mm-hmm.
still make it, and they still have a great time, and they're still making the most like memorable family moments, because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, there's so many families that shoot together that you meet at these events.
Yes. Yes. It's just like the kids that go to nationals every year. They only see certain kids that they shoot with once a year, but they have formed lifelong relationships, and they look forward and they text and they meet up on social media because of their shooting world, and they'll be friends forever. Um, as far as Georgia, I think I stated a while ago that we are a leading state, and I don't take that for granted. I really
Mhm.
don't. And I represent 9 states. And so when I started this particular position, I thought all the states work like Georgia. Well, they don't. And that has made this such a challenge, but it's made it a fun challenge because, truthfully, my husband teases me all the time. If I don't have a challenge going on, I'm not happy. But
That's
I
right.
went into Virginia this past year, and I won't get into the political aspect, but it was interesting trying to bring Virginia into a very competitive state. And I'm walking away right now feeling like I've done a good job. And I think I can do that with the other states too. It's just we've got to work as a unit. I think in time, all of SCTP will have to work more unified than we are right now. And one thing that I'm going to be doing is establishing a meeting once a month a Zoom meeting or whatever platform we decide to use, where all the coaches in all of the 9 states that I work with can participate, and I'll have something ready for them to teach them and become more cohesive each week. I mean, each month that we do that, or each week, whatever we decide we're doing. But I think we need that right now.
Oh
We're
my gosh,
growing. We
yes.
are growing so fast, and we just need a bit more as far as the communication. We need to set standards. We need to manage expectations of our coaches and all, and the athletes, really, and the parents. The parents need to know
Yes.
what's coming.
And they don't know what they don't know. And that's been,
Hmm.
I think, the biggest lesson of me being a part of so many different pillars of shotgun sports, whether it be in the competition side or the hunting side, which I was on the hunting side, I was also in competition. So the culture of each place was a bit different, but
Hmm.
you and I both know we don't stay at the level of like safety. We always set our standards far above at etiquette.
Hmm.
And my dad, which I don't know if we've had this conversation, but my dad was shot in the head January 1st of 1984 in a deer hunting accident, and I was only
Hmm.
3. But my family was a hunting family. They were shooters, and that was who we were. And never like they never saw that the gun was the enemy, right?
Hmm.
So I was raised continuously. I watched my dad go through miraculous healings and all these things while the outdoors was his place of healing.
Hmm.
And so I grew up like with this really hardcore conviction of what the outdoors gives us. And then going through life and the curveballs of life we all face, the outdoors became a healing place for me. And then not only was I riding the coattails of my dad, but I had my own story. And it's like seeing these kids get to experience things, because we know that life is not the same as, 20, 30, 40 years ago, where we did have more hunting families, and especially in the
Hmm.
South, like we're Southerners, this was so normal. And like you said before, I think it was before we pushed play or record, SCTP could be subdivision families, and it's like
Hmm.
everybody can participate. It's
Yes.
not just for the people that have, deer in their backyard or turkeys in their backyard. This is for everyone. And
Absolutely. What people don't
yeah,
realize is that it used to be the athletes that came into the SCTP were from hunting backgrounds, but now a large percentage of them are not. They're coming from the background. They have no background whatsoever in hunting. A lot of them have not even picked up a gun before. Their father
right.
has not picked up a gun. The grandfather hadn't picked up a gun. We are actually, I've got stories to where the young person came in, became part of the SCTP, and a grandfather at 80 something years old shot for the first time. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
that's so
difference in the
great.
culture. Yep,
Yes.
and the culture has changed. It's not like it used to be, as you just said. We're getting brand new people introduced to the shooting world.
And it is the most rewarding thing, I think, to go.
Hmm.
I just didn't realize what SCTP was going to mean to me,
Hmm.
because I didn't grow up shooting SCTP either, like you. And so I do feel like I'm following in your footsteps of like, how can I bring my experiences to you guys to help support you? And that I think about this all the time. And sometimes I feel guilty for texting you and like blowing you up or coming up with ideas and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have to tell her I want to do this." I don't want to add to your plate, but I'm so fueled by the legacy that you're building.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
We in Georgia, we did have a good base when we started. There's a name in Georgia, Sammy McFadden. He did a lot for the youth in Georgia. So we did have a base. We had a kind of a legacy team, Blake Oconee, and they're still an excellent team as we speak. But I started this with Angie Everson. We didn't even know each other when we started this. We just decided that we didn't decide. we volunteered to be
Yeah.
the advisors for Georgia, not really even knowing what we were getting into and the work that was going to be presented to us at the time. And we just waded right in, and every year it got better, and we just kept working. It got bigger and better. And as I said a while ago, it's growing beyond anything that we ever could have comprehended. The SCTP, we're going to have over 3,000 contestants at Marengo, Ohio in July. Think about
That's
that.
national numbers, right?
That it is. And last year we threw 3.8 million targets, and it'll be bigger this year. Just
And
think
that's just
about
at
that.
nationals, y'all.
That's just at nationals
Yes.
alone
So,
in a week's time.
you know, for me, on the advocacy side, when you start spitting out numbers to me, I start bouncing off the walls because I wanted to go back to my group where, you know, my soapbox right now is fighting the lead ban. I was partnered with Purdy when the UK did away with lead ammo, and I personally saw how that affected my friends and the industry that I have committed to like for life, and it turned them upside down. So, I was telling you about what I did in DC last week promoting this, and this is what people don't realize, that SCTP threw over 9 million targets in what, 4 to 5 months, because the only shoot in July pretty much is nationals. So we count that, but there's really only one shoot for that month, where you said they threw 3 million targets in 1 week. Nine, and then you also told me that we could triple that number if we added in practices. So for
We have
every
no
target,
idea the number of targets that fly through practice. I mean, I don't think we have the capability to even calculate that, but it's
no, not
huge. It's
unless
huge.
right. And there's no way to keep that up. So when I look at this and I think, holy smokes, how does that really affect the United States? SCTP is making waves through Pittman Robertson Act funds for supporting wildlife. That is the sole funding program that supports wildlife across the United States, outside of what donations come through PFQF, Ducks Unlimited, SCI conservation projects. So that would be with the foundation and other foundations like that. The government program that supports wildlife conservation, SCTP is a massive fundraiser for that, and people don't even realize what they're contributing to as an American. And I'm like, oh, I just came back from DC, so I'm still on that so proud to be American thing. But I was just so proud to have you share those numbers with me and see how these kids are making an impact. I'm like, oh, I would just want them to hold their head a little higher.
Well, I think I was talking to you about this before we started recording. The SCTP is not the only leg of this journey. I hate to keep using acronyms, but we are part of the SSSF, which is the Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation. The SCTP is the Scholastic Clay Target Program, but we also have the SASP, which is the Scholastic Action Shooting Program. That is growing faster at the moment than SCTP is. SCTP has been in effect for 25 years. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. SASP only about 15 years, but it is growing tremendously right now. And so it's not just the SCTP that we need to think about.
Yeah, so the action side of this would encounter pistols, shotguns, and rifles. So if anybody's
the shotgun is related to the SCTP,
yeah,
rifle and pistol to the SASP.
So there's a place, no matter what you're interested in. We're wing shooters, so that's what we love. But man, some kids, they just pick a different route. I don't want to sit in a deer stand. I want to be with my dog. So it can relate to that, or just kids are different. I just love what this organization is doing for the youth, and I just want to continue to share the message that we're so welcoming. And I came from this industry, and I will say that I was very overwhelmed last year as Tater shot as a rookie. And you know this because at that time you were still working the Georgia offices at every tournament. And I know we got to know each other really well because I was lost as could be, and I just knew I had to go to the office and get answers. It's like, I don't know where my coach is, but I know where y'all are. And I came in there all the time, I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, why is this so hard? So I'm sure that every team culture is a little differently, and I'm probably assuming that our team thought I was more educated in this organization than I was, but I was not.
But
So
all of our parents come in that way. All of our parents come in that way.
Nobody ever made me feel dumb or like I was a pain, because I know y'all's hands are so full in that office all the time, and y'all still welcomed this like lost mom in there. So I will say this year I've gotten better. I still don't have all the answers, but there is a lot of moving parts, and I realized that, oh my gosh, the forgiveness within this organization and the grace is unmeasurable. The coaches from other teams have been so helpful too. When Tater had an issue with her choke, and we had, a shooting faux pas, and so her gun is at Rob Roberts getting put back together. Actually, it's not getting put back together, it's getting tricked out. She's gonna start a whole new trend with her painted up barrel and everything now. But all the coaches that knew what had happened to us and that she couldn't shoot her gun anymore were like, hey, we've got this. And I was like, oh, it just made me want to cry. Like, I was so overwhelmed and in shock, first of all, we were dealing with this, but then to see how everybody supported us. I mean, immediately, we were all trying to figure out what had happened, and we were on the trap field. One of our older kids on our team, who's also a lefty, saw that Tater needed help, and they had just come to watch. Like, they got done, and of course they're coming to support their team. She's like, Tater, don't even worry about it. Take my gun. Go finish it out strong. And I didn't even know. I'm like, whose gun is she shooting? And so they just take care of themselves. And these are young kids.
It's a community.
She's 12, and I'm like, so we talk about the responsibility of them. We talk about how mature they are, but they're resourceful within each other, and yeah, I am looking back, and I know that we hate sitting out and having, this rough season. But when I look back, I'm thinking all the lessons that my kid is going to learn from facing this and seeing how dependable her friends were, like, and how the older kids supported her. She's gonna have new standards within this organization of what's expected of her and what she wants to give back because of what was given to her.
These kids, they learn that. We try to teach them that very hard, very, very much so. These older and these older kids working with these younger kids, the younger ones look up to those older kids. They listen to them. Those kids can teach the dynamics of what we want these young people to learn, almost more so than the adults can. And it's rewarding to see that. And they enjoy doing it. The older kids enjoy being a mentor to these young kids.
I know, and it's so funny to see, like, these kids could shoot 200 targets in one day, and they get done, and we eat, and everybody's like, oh, we've still got like 2 hours left of daylight. Like, let's get in some practice, you know? And they just have so much fun. I'm like, no, we all need to crash and take a break. Like, as parents are exhausted. At
the NSCA shoot, I think it was about 3 years ago, we were out in San Antonio, and a lot of the SCTP kids are going out and shooting in the national shoots now. Yes. And one of the parents sent me a picture. There was a group of them out in the pouring rain practicing, getting ready for their rounds to compete in. And that's how dedicated these kids are. They're very dedicated.
Yeah, for sure. I just, this is a sport, right, and this is basic. It's probably very just like common sense, but they're never going to outgrow this. Like I was telling you, my coach is 71, and I was in DC, and so I couldn't shoot with him in this tournament at the Meadows, and everybody knows the Meadows throws mean targets. I mean, nobody, you just know when you show up there that they're gonna they're going to throw you some curveballs. And he's like blowing up my phone, bragging to me, shot a 98 and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is so cool to be involved in something where the kids start at 11 at SCTP. I mean, you can shoot earlier, just not an actual registered target within this organization. But I mean, Tater was out there 4, 5, 6 years old with her BB gun, right? So easy targets. We were letting her shoot at a lesson scenario, right? Because she was already getting the feel of a moving target when she was little. So we started really young. So, I mean, like, you can always find a way to get kids involved. But so he's telling me that, and I'm saying, I'm in the middle of this. Tater's at the very beginning. It's like, we will get to do this our entire life. And there's so many different seasons of it. So when you ask these parents to invest this, because it's not a cheap sport, it's like you are investing into something with your kid that, number one, you can enjoy as a family in the moment, but you can enjoy forever.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And anywhere in the world, you can shoot all over the world.
Yes.
Places to go.
Yes. Well, look at all the tournaments that we have, just say in the registered sporting clays. You have your senior division, your senior division. I forget what the top one they called it, some weird little name, but
I don't know that.
Yeah, Philip is getting there, so he doesn't like to talk about that. But anyway, I mean, you can shoot 90 years old if you want to, or older. It's something that is a lifelong sport that you'll always be able to do.
I know, and I think about the investment, all the benefits that come from this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just an endless list of investing in your kid at such an early age. I am going to do future episodes. I'm just going to plant a seed that will support parents. It's intimidating when you come in, when you see kids that have been shooting for years and they're talking about a custom fitted shotgun and the price point of all these things. And it's like you grow into levels, and there are some kids that are still out there shooting their duck gun and they are rocking it, and then there are kids, with everything. And I saw that because when I first started shooting, I was shooting an entry level CZ with a field choke, and I was propping it against, in the gun rack with guys that are in their 60s, been shooting as long as I'd been alive with their custom Krieghoff, and I still knew I was going to smoke them. So yes, as an instructor, I do value proper gun fit and having the right gun, but it doesn't always equal price point. Sometimes you can find that right feel with a different price point. So I don't play the name game. I'm not sponsored, with anybody, because I believe that to be successful, you need the gun that works best for you. And so you need to pick that out before you look at the tag.
If you get that gun that fits you, you can shoot it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And they don't make that gun anymore. We call her Old Trusty, and she belongs to my coach. But I won my first tournament with her. And so sometimes when we practice, he'll bring her and surprise me and say, "You want to shoot Old Trusty today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would love a day where I don't miss." So he said, "Well, maybe I'll leave it to you in the will." He always teases me, but it is fun. And I just don't want people to think, oh my gosh, we're traveling all over. We're going to do this. It's so expensive. All the teams have fundraising programs. There's things that are put together to offset the cost so that nobody gets left out. And I would say that the best thing we can do is just not get more kids shooting, but get more families involved.
I totally agree. I think that's important. I feel like one of my biggest responsibilities is to support the coaches and support the advisors and support the families, even more so than supporting the kids sometimes, because they have that base supporting them. They have the coaches, they have the advisors, they have their parents. But those people in charge need to have support too. And I feel like that's one of my biggest responsibilities. And it's just, and that makes me feel so good. But I like to know that people can contact me anytime they want to, and that they can depend on me to help them through whatever they need. And that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. And sometimes we just don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
Say, I would like to get here, but I'm here and I have no idea what the middle looks like. And
Mm-hmm.
whether that be you providing the right support for your kid to grow and meet your own personal goals that you have for your kids, or it could be, the proper like ammo, or, there's all kinds of questions that you could find
Mm-hmm.
within this, and having a soundboard that can point you in the right direction of the right person is
Mm-hmm.
just so valuable. Great. Okay, I want to ask you one last question.
Okay.
Since you have played every role in, through this whole like process, what legacy do you want to leave for, all the things that you've done?
I think basically what I just said a while ago, that this industry knows that they can have support people out there. I'd like to know that I have played a part in the future of this sport, that I'm dependable, and that I'm willing to get in there and help whatever it needs to be done to grow this sport. And I think I've done a good job with that so far. I think in Georgia that people know I'm here. Even in the role I am, I still get coaches call me
Mhm.
because they know that whatever they need, that I'll do my best to make that happen. And we need more people like that. As I said a while ago, it's growing faster than we can provide people to put in place. And that's what we need more than anyway. Good coaches, good advisors, good people who are willing to dig in the trenches and make this sport grow.
Oh, I love that. And I do think that you do a great job. Um, I think that people want your time. I think people enjoy having access to you. Part of those things, like I'm just trying to educate people that are listening. So, in real time, what these tournaments look like is
Mm-hmm.
we show up and we start at 8 or 9 o'clock, depending on how
Mm-hmm.
many people are at the shoot. So, your team gets registered before the day of.
Mm-hmm.
Then the SCTP office or the club that's hosting puts everybody at their stations. And so there's multiple games going on at one time, especially when we have regionals. My gosh, we'll use that as an example because that's the best one. There's skeet fields, there's trap fields, there's super sporting, and there's sporting clays.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things are going on. So we pull two teams come together with 3 to 4 kids shooting at a time, hopefully, like that's max. And each team has a representative. One's going to pull and one's going to take score. And that could be a coach or that could be a parent. So a
Mm-hmm.
representative from each team is going to work together to lead that kid through their course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then, it could take 2 hours for a sporting clay course. It could take an hour to an hour and a half for trap because that moves so much faster, depending on how many kids work. But typically, we're shooting 100 clays per course. With the exception of super sporting, sometimes we only shoot 50. But the setup is the same where we always have 2 representatives. And so that requires a lot of volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
As all of that goes on, we have a coach that comes and gives a field rep or goes straight back to the office. All the scorecards, after the kids see them, they take pictures of them, all that happens. Then they're like maniacs in the office that are inputting these scores because people immediately when they get done are checking the app like where am I placed, where am I placed, where am I placed. So all these score inputters are in the office plugging them in on the website so we can pull them up. And so that's happening in real time. And then we take a break, and then in the afternoon we typically do it again, and you rotate through your games throughout a day or 2 or 3 day course, and nationals of course is a whole week. So that's typically how busy this looks. So you can imagine
Mm-hmm.
how many people it is taking to run the SCTP office, to run each team, because we've got to have a scorer or what we call a pull, like a trapper
Trapper.
for each team. And those rotate, within depending on who shoots with who, because you don't always shoot with the same kids on your team. And
Mm-hmm.
so we need experienced, confident parents that also are just willing to learn. And
Mm-hmm.
you have a great support system. And I was never a skeet shooter. And I show up last tournament and I get to work with a coach from a different team. And I was like, dude, talk to me like I don't know anything because I don't know anything on this field. And I learned so much, and I was like, man, I hope I get to work with him again because he was so helpful to me, and I personally grew. So that's kind of how these tournaments work. And if it's just taking out the trash or taking snacks to people, making sure on these hot days that, teams have water and things like that, there's always a place, no matter where your confidence level lies, that you can get involved.
Oh, yes. I think you just mentioned how many people it takes. You mentioned the regional. A lot of people don't know that most of those volunteers are doing it on their own time and on their own dime. They are paying for their hotel bill. We had a group come up from Florida, the advisors from Florida for the Southeast Regional, and they paid for everything themselves because they're that dedicated. They brought their Florida teams up and they came and they worked inside the office. And it's just rewarding to see how dedicated these people are to this sport.
It
And
does
also,
become so fun. It becomes family vacation.
and I don't think we've mentioned it before, but you're talking about the parents having knowledge and being able to learn and be able to put forth what they might need to do, but they don't because of lack of knowledge or experience. But the SSSF, the Scholastic Shooting Sports Foundation, has a basic shotgun course that's online. And you take that, it's $75, but it goes over a lot of the safety aspects, plus it gets into a little bit of the rules and so forth with each discipline. And then at the end of it, there's a on-site range day. And you go and you go over a lot of it. And yes, and so we encourage our parents to do that. Even if you think you're not going to be part of anything, it gives you enough knowledge to know what's going on, and you can understand what your child is going through better by doing it. And it's not hard to do, and we really encourage it. It was built basically so we could have new coaches coming in, but it is a wonderful course for parents to do. Of course, a lot of our parents that do stuff like this, they get into the entry levels and then they learn more and more and more. And then by the time you know it, they're an assistant coach or maybe even a coach. So it's a great introductory course.
It is so fun. So we have talked all about SCTP, but we haven't told people how to find us or how to find out what team is in their region.
That's easy to do. I call it our blankie, but it's mysctp.com, mysctp.com. And on the front page that comes up, you scroll down a little bit and it's find a team. And you click on that, put in an address, and it'll show you.
Amazing.
It's easy to do. There's a name associated with it. In the Southeast, it's my name. I'm the first point of contact. And as soon as I get somebody that has looking for a team, I let the advisors know, and they guide them to the coaches, and it's very easy to do.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing so much knowledge with me. Thank you for giving me a place to get plugged in and to grow even more in shotgun sports. I feel like we're going to do this together forever.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and I'm looking forward to what we can share in Georgia with you. You're a powerhouse, Anna, so anxious to see what you do.
Thank you so much because my kid loves this, and I really couldn't think of a better way to spend her time at home with us as she's, growing up. So we take it really serious, and I love sharing about it.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and I've enjoyed these last few minutes, so thank you.
As I leave this sleepy town, the sun is slowly rising and the fog is on the ground. The dawn is finally breaking as I leave this sleepy town. The sun is slowly rising and the fog is on the ground.